High Fives Clubbers, it's Teacher Janelle. I hope you're having a great day. The story I want to read to you today is all about being a problem solver. There are going to be times in your life where you are going to be frustrated because there's going to be something that seems really hard and you're going to have to think about how to solve that problem. It might take you more than one try to solve it, but like we've talked about, sometimes it feels really, really, really good to finally solve a problem, even though it was really frustrating trying lots of different things. My story is called Iggy Peck, Architect. Does anybody know what an architect is before I start reading? Maybe at the end of the story you can tell me. Young Iggy Peck is an architect and has been since he was 2, when he built a great tower in only an hour with nothing but diapers and glue. "Good gracious, Ignatius," his mother exclaimed, "that's the coolest thing I've ever seen." But his smile faded fast as a light wind blew past, and she realized those diapers weren't clean. "Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks." But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn, using dirt clods to build the great Sphinx. When Iggy was 3, his parents could see. His unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples, and temples from modeling clay. At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye, and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch from pancakes and coconut pie. Dear Ig had made it until 2nd grade, when his teacher was Miss Leila Greer. On the very first day, she had this to say: "We do no talk of buildings in here. Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less, and about buildings ancient or new. She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. That might seem severe, but she was sincere, for when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour of the 95th floor, young Leila got lost from the group. She was found 2 days later in a stuck elevator eating cheese with a French circus troupe. After that day, it's quite safe to say she thought the building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she taught that above all one ought to avoid them. No ifs, ands, or buts. As you might guess, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk. But he didn't hear. He sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. "You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck. Tear down that castle right now. You will not build in here. Is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal Howe?" "No, ma'am," Iggy said. He lowered his head, and his heart sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now 2nd grade was a bore. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to the Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. They crossed an old trestle to a small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed, and Miss Leila Greer started to scream. "We're trapped here, oh my, alas kids, goodbye." Her eyeballs rolled back in her head. She drooped to the ground with a vague groaning sound, luckily fainted and not dead. The class was amazed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one bright young man was hatching a plan, which started with Miss Leila's shoe. Soon each lad and lass there at Blue River Pass was working together as one. And when she came to, Miss Leela Greer knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw something hanging there, a structure with cables and braces, and on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots, and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which one should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge in a glorious bridge, dangling from a shoestring suspension. It all became clear to Miss Leela Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There are worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than to spend your time building a dream. Now every week at Blue River Creek Elementary in 2nd grade, all the school kids can hear, along with Miss Greer, how the world's greatest buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker in t-shirts and sneakers talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, he's the guy who builds towers from pie, that brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. From reading my story, did you figure out what an architect was if you didn't know what it was before? If you said someone that draws pictures and builds things, you are right. Young Iggy Peck was an architect even though he was little, and he was faced with a big problem at the end. What was the problem? Yes, if you remember, the footbridge collapsed and they had to figure out how to work together as a team, and Iggy helped lead the children in building a suspension bridge. That was a pretty fun part of the story, wasn't it? Boys and girls, I want you to remember that problem solving is super important, and that sometimes you have to work together as a team to solve your problem, which is what Iggy Peck did. Teacher Janelle misses you and looks forward to seeing you on video soon. Bye-bye.